So good morning after this very beautiful Celtic piece of music, Moon Song, on this World Moon Day. And this is why the service is called Reflections of Moon Day, or Moon Day Reflections. Welcome whoever you are. It is raining. It is very beautiful. Our gardens need the rain, so let's welcome it as it is. Let's welcome the freshness that it brings. And the sun will come out probably later on. Hope dies last. So let's begin with an opening prayer by Reverend Dr. Linda Hart, and then we will light the chalice. We enter into this time and this place to join our hearts and minds together. We come to this place, the doors open, the heat comes on, well, in the winter. Biscuits are laid, the water heats, and you all come. What is it that we come here seeking? Many things, too many to mention them all. Yet, it is likely that some common longings draw us to be with one another. To remember what is most important in life, to be challenged to live more truly, more deeply, to live with integrity and kindness and with hope and love, to feel the company of those who seek a common path, to be renewed in our faith in the promise of this life, to be strengthened and to find the courage to continue to do what we must do day after day, world without end. Even if your longings are different than these, you are welcome here. Even if you do not have the strength and the courage to pass along, you're welcome here. You're welcome in your grief and your joy to be within this circle of companions. We gather here. It is good to be together. And now I'm going to light the chalice and then read a blessing after that. Let's see if the matches work. If not, I have got secret weapons under there. Right there. Straight away. This is by Yvonne Aperol, so I didn't say. The flame consumes the wick, constantly changing and dancing, sharing its radiance with us. So may our souls be aflame with divine love, sharing our radiance with others. And we now come to our first hymn. Just be aware, usually I use the purple book, but this time there is one from the green book as well. Anyway, the first one is 158 from the purple book. The flame of truth is kindled. And if you would like to stand, you may, in body or in spirit, and we're going to sing it right now. The words will appear on the screen.
Amongst us, who's the
And we move on to a prayer by Reverend Margaret Kirk, and it's entitled, Something There Is That Doesn't Love a Wall. So that refers to very many walls. Today is also the 51st anniversary of the invasion of Cyprus by Turkey. So that is also a barrier that is there, although the wall and the fence refers to personal and other, of course, issues. It's a very beautiful one. We see barriers erected between people of different lands. We see sheets of steel and towers of concrete called protection. We see boundaries policed, watchmen, women and children running from hunger and persecution, looking for a gap in the wall. Something there is that doesn't love a wall. We see walls of fear, fear of the young, fear of the stranger, fear of sexuality that is different, fear of the educated, fear of the poor, fear of the Muslim, fear of the Jew, fear upon fear, endless and perpetuating, and we offer a silent prayer to that solid walls of fear will crumble to dust. Something there is that doesn't love a wall. We hear the language of separation, the jingoistic chant, the racial slur, words of indifference and dismissal, words arranged for the purpose of exclusion, words that sting and taunt, words that lie. Let us find words that ring with love and truthfulness, that reach out through the emptiness of separation. Something there is that doesn't love a wall. We see the deluded barriers of the mind protecting self. We see relationships stripped of affection as one person becomes close to another. Closed, not close, okay. We see people trapped in misunderstanding, old hurts reignited, bricks placed higher on the wall, goodwill and trust suspended. And we ask for boundaries that are not impenetrable, through which light can shine and distance be dissolved. Something there is that doesn't love a wall. And when we need these boundaries for our own well-being, let us know them for what they are. Use them wisely and kindly, recognizing our own vulnerability and that of others. So each of us can find the space for retreat and succor, find that peace that passes all understanding and be renewed by strength and love. For the task of living life joyfully in communion with all others. Amen. And now we come to a meditation on peace by Kendall Gibbons. And I cannot remember who is reading. That is Sheila. Will come and read it for us. Hopefully the lectern is working.
A meditation on peace. Let us hold lovingly in our thoughts all the people of the earth, those who are consumed by mutual hatred and bitterness, those who make bloody war upon their neighbours, those who oppress their brothers and sisters with any form of tyranny, and all who suffer in subjection, cruelty, and injustice. Let us recognise our solidarity with all the outcast, with the downtrodden, the abused, the deprived, and all our common humanity with all who bear the responsibilities of leadership and power. Let us remember humanity's ancient and universal dream of peace. That we live together in harmony, no one exploiting the weak, no one hating the strong. Each of us working out our own destiny, self-respecting and unafraid. May we seek to be worthy of freedom, free from institutional wrong, free from individual oppression and contempt, pure of heart and hand, despising none, defrauding none, giving to all people in all encounters of life the honour due to those who, like us, are children of the earth's great love.
Thank you very much, Sheila. And we move on to a short story, a very short one, from the Buddhist tradition, and it's entitled The Power of Generosity. Once there lived a rich man who was famous for his charitable acts. He always gave alms to the poor. A poor hermit happened to be his neighbor. The hermit was called the Silent Buddha, for he was an enlightened person and spent all his time in meditation. Once he meditated for 7 days and 7 nights at a stretch without any food or any water. When he awoke from his trance, he was very hungry, so he went to the rich man to beg for food. Mara, the god of death, was jealous of the rich man's reputation and decided to stop him from giving alms. He wanted the Silent Buddha to die of starvation. When the rich man came forward to offer alms to the Silent Buddha, Mara lit a huge fire between the two. But the rich man was determined and, trusting the strength of his good deeds, walked through the fire and emerging unharmed. He offered the Silent Buddha food. Mara was defeated and departed, saying, "Indeed, the power of generosity is great." And now we come to another reading, a Unitarian reading. What holds together the Unitarian movement asks the question, and we have Linda to come and read it. And this is on page 50 by a book by Reverend Cliff Reed. What is Unitarianism? So this is what holds the Unitarian movement together.
Unitarians believe that freedom from prescribed creeds, dogmas, and confessions of faith is necessary if people are to seek and find truth for themselves. We rate spiritual honesty above religious conformity. But without a binding creed, how can a congregation, let alone a national movement, stay together? The Unitarian answer is that shared values and a shared religious approach are a surer basis for unity than theological propositions, because no human being and no human institution can have a monopoly on truth. It is safer to admit that from the outset. We are seekers and sharers, fellow pilgrims on the path, and this is how we Unitarians see ourselves. The values underpinning the Unitarian movement have to do with mutual caring and mutual respect. They involve a readiness to extend to each other a positive, involved, and constructive tolerance. They are the values of a liberal religious community that honours individuality without idolising it, of a community that finds spiritual stimulation in the unique combination of each person while feeling itself united by a bond too deep for words. They are the values of a community that is open to truth from many sources, a community of the spirit that cherishes reason and acknowledges honest doubt, a community where the only ideological test is that required by one's own conscience. Above all, perhaps, Unitarians are bound by a sense of common humanity. We believe that the world would be a better place if more people put this one factor before all the lesser and illusory things that divide us.
Thank you, Linda. That's a very beautiful thing to reflect on. We will have some time later on. And now we move on to a couple more readings, more close to the moon. An Islamic reading from the Holy Quran, Surah 36, which is called Surah Yasin, and verses 39 and 40, just 2 verses. And the moon we have determined for its phases, until it returns like the old date stock dried up. It is not for the sun to overtake the moon, nor does the night outstrip the day. They float, each in an orbit. So, reference to the laws of nature. And another reading, two more readings from all the traditions. The Cree tradition from the Americas, the moon and her brother. A very short one again. Long ago, the sun and the moon were sister and brother. The moon was quiet and calm, lighting the night with gentleness, while her brother, the sun, blazed fiercely through the day. The moon walked slowly across the sky, watching over the people as they slept, keeping their dreams safe. She reminded them of balance, that even in darkness, light remains. And then the last one from the Sumerian civilization. So that's kind of in the Middle East, Syria, Iraq, this kind of ancient kind of area. Hymn to Nana Sin, the moon god, about 2,000 years before the Common Era, so very long, very old one. Father Nana, shining one, you rise in splendor, crossing the heavens. You measure the days, the months, the years. Your light brings order to the night. Silver boat of the sky, you sail the darkness with calm and wisdom. And we go now to our next hymn, which is number 198 from the Green Book. But of course, the words will appear on the screen. If you wish, of course, to stand in spirit or in body, please do. So that's 198, the healing of the nations. We need a lot of that.
Equal
Sang, you may be seated. Thank you very much. And we now move to, a few reflections, the reflective address. And there's a lot, of course, to reflect on. And after that, there will be some time to reflect. Hopefully, I can still be heard by people on Zoom, yeah? Okay. We learned from the Cree tradition earlier on that the moon walked slowly across the sky, watching over the people as they slept, keeping their dreams safe. The moon reminded them of balance, we saw in that reading, that even in darkness, light remains. As Einstein once said, a human being is part of the whole, called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, well, of course, masculine language here, but that's Einstein, not me. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings as something separate from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of consciousness. So that's about man. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. And as the Bible says, who is our neighbor? That's a question that we need to think about. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. To achieve what Einstein says, we need the light, as we saw in the Cree tradition reading, particularly in times of darkness, as the moon goddess pointed out to us. The moon has been a symbol of a deity, a calendar, and a guide for humanity throughout the ages. That's not new, of course. From ancient civilizations to modern times, its soft glow and rhythmic cycles have captured the imagination, inspired reverence, and provided spiritual insight. Across different cultures and religions, the moon's quiet presence in the night sky has been interpreted in various ways, each perspective offering a unique lens through which we understand our own place in the universe. In the cradle of civilization, ancient Mesopotamia, as I said before, the moon was not merely an astronomical object. It was a divine entity with profound significance. The Sumerians worshipped Nana, Sin, as we saw earlier on, the god of the moon, who was seen as the guardian of time and a judge of fate, because we humans are governed by time. In a land where the flow of rivers, that's Mesopotamia, and the cycles of agriculture were intertwined with divine will, the moon played a central role in determining the rhythms of life. The moon's phases were essential for the development of the lunar calendar, which governed everything from farming to festivals, religious and other festivals. Nana was believed to traverse the heavens in a silver boat. There are some paintings about that anyway, lighting the darkness and providing guidance to those who followed his lunar path. Nana's light, though far from the sun and his fiery brilliance, was revered for its subtlety and constancy. It was an image of order in the night, a reminder that even in darkness there is a guiding force. The moon's phases reflected both the cyclical nature of existence and the divine wisdom that governs the cosmos. Just as the moon waxes and wanes, so do the fortunes of humanity, but through it all, the divine presence remains. The moon in Greek mythology, we move now further west, was associated with the goddess Selene. This is still a word used in Greek for the moon in science and formally, who was often depicted as a beautiful ethereal figure driving a chariot across the night sky. Again, there are some pieces of art about that in museums, pulled by white horses. The moon in this tradition was a symbol of both feminine energy and mystery, a reflection of the deeper, often hidden forces of the cosmos, so more esoteric, more mystical, if you like. Selene's connection to the moon also embodied the themes of change, transformation, and the cyclical nature of life, much like the waxing and waning of the lunar phases. The Greeks saw the moon as a force that ruled over dreams and the subconscious, a source of divine insight and introspection. Selene's journey through the sky was not just a physical movement, but a metaphor for the human soul's journey through the stages of life. Her symbolism reflects the profound human experience of transition and the eternal pursuit of balance between light and shadow. We go now much more to the west. In Native American traditions, the moon is often viewed as a feminine force that complements the masculine energy of the sun. Remember the brother and the sister. As we have already seen, one example comes from the Cree tradition, where the moon was seen as the sister of the sun. She was considered a gentle protector, guiding the people through the night, watching over them while they slept. The Cree held that the moon's light was soft, nurturing, and rhythmic, much like the cycles of women in their fertility and life processes. In many traditions, or in many other traditions if you like, the moon governs time, especially in connection with hunting, planting, and harvesting. The Lakota, another traditional group in the Americas, and other Plains tribes, for example, use the lunar calendar to track the seasons, which with each full moon associated with a specific activity or event. The Navajo, too, again another group, observed the moon as part of their connection to the earth and sky. The moon's cycles were not just symbolic, but essential in marking the passage of time and ensuring harmony with nature's rhythms. Furthermore, in shamanic traditions across Native American cultures, the moon is often a guide for spiritual journeys. Shamans would use the moon's cycles as markers for meditation, divination, and the seeking of wisdom from the spirit world. The moon was a reminder that every night held the potential for inner illumination, just as the night sky itself is a canvas for the moon's luminous glow. In Islam, the moon is not only a symbol of timekeeping, but also a reminder of God's omnipotence and the divine order of the universe. The Quran mentions the moon multiple times, illustrating both its physical beauty and spiritual significance. In addition to our previous reading, of course, in another surah, Surah Al-Isra 17:12, it says, "And we made the night and the day 2 signs. Then we made the sign of the night dark, and we made the sign of the day bright, that you may seek bounty from your Lord. In the Islamic tradition, the moon marks the beginning of each new month, and it is especially significant during the month of Ramadan, when, as we know, Muslims fast for just before dawn until just after the sunset. And just to say, the previous new moon was the beginning of the Islamic New Year this year, so very end of June. So it moves back every year, 13 days or so, because exclusively the lunar calendar is used for the timings. The sighting of the new crescent moon signals the start of this sacred period, Ramadan, but also every other month, reinforcing the connection between the celestial cycles and the rhythms of religious devotion. The moon, in this context, is not just a celestial body, but a manifestation of divine timing and order, marking moments of spiritual renewal. The moon in Islam also represents the beauty and harmony of God's creation. It reflects the perfection of divine design, its phases serving as reminders of the transient nature of life, the passing of time, and the need for reflection and humility. Just as the moon completes its cycle, so too do human beings pass through stages of life, always in need of realizing what exactly it is that they're doing. Sometimes we become so engrossed in ourselves that we forget all of these other beings, animals and human beings, and the rest of nature in our universe. So, let's move on to another great religion, Hinduism. In Hinduism, the moon is considered to be both a deity and a symbol of the mind and the eternal self. You begin now to realize how many of these concepts are very similar in all of these traditions, ancient and less so. The moon, or Chandra, is not just a celestial body, but a significant figure in the Hindu pantheon, often depicted as a young, radiant god who rides a chariot across the night sky. Chandra's influence is linked to the emotional and mental aspects of human existence, as the moon's phases reflect the cyclical nature of moods, desires, and thoughts. Hindu philosophy, particularly in its yoga traditions, sees the moon as a metaphor for the mind's journey through darkness, from darkness, if you like, to enlightenment. As the moon moves through different phases, it symbolizes the human experience of growth, of decay, and of renewal. Just as the moon cycles through its waxing and waning, the mind must also undergo cycles of purification and transformation to reach spiritual clarity and ultimate union with the divine, according to Hinduism, of course. In addition, the moon holds a special connection with certain deities, such as Shiva, whose adornment of a crescent moon on his head symbolizes his mastery over the eternal, cyclical nature of life and of death. The moon's constant motion through the sky serves as a reminder of the infinite cycles of the universe and the importance of all things. In conclusion, from the ancient Sumerians to modern religions and modern religious perspectives as well, the moon is universally regarded as a powerful symbol that transcends boundaries of culture and belief. Whether as a divine entity, a timekeeper, or a guide for spiritual introspection, the moon carries profound meanings that resonate with humanity's deepest questions and experiences. Its quiet yet constant presence in the sky calls us to reflect on the cycles of our own lives, to seek balance between light and shadow, and to recognize the divine order that governs both the universe and our hearts. In every culture, the moon speaks to our shared human experience, the need for guidance, the embrace of mystery, and the recognition of the transience of life. As we look up at the moon, we are reminded that no matter how distant or invisible it may seem, the light of wisdom, of love, and of divine order continues to shine even in the darkest of times. And now, to reflect on some of those points and some of the earlier points, there will be some music by Claude Debussy, Clair de Lune, and it's about 5 minutes, so you have plenty of time to reflect as you like. You may close your eyes, you may listen to, look at the video clip as you wish. And now we come to, as I usually do in my services, to a pre-offertory prayer. Of course, the offertory is after the service, but I just want to read a prayer about that. And then when you come to that, please bear that in mind. So, the purpose of the Church is to encourage all who gather here to grow more generous in spirit and in action. This is the great end of all the world's faith traditions, to bring the human being closer to the divine by acts of creation and compassion. Immediately after the end of the service, we will take an offering that allows us to exercise that all-important generosity of spirit, an offering that will support this self-supporting congregation. The gifts of the congregation will be received most gratefully. Please remember to give as generously as you can at the end of the service, of course. And now we have a poem, and Viv is coming to read it for us. What else? The Moon, by Robert Louis Stevenson.
The moon has a face like the clock in the hall. She shines on thieves on the garden wall, on streets and fields and harbour quays, and birdies asleep in the forks of the trees. The moon has a face like the clock in the hall. She shines on the steps and the stones and the streets, on the turn of the tide and the winds that meet on the moon that walks in the night.
Thank you so much, Viv. And a small reflection on that. This simple yet beautiful poem evokes a sense of wonder as the moon becomes an ever-present, silent observer of the world, casting its light over nature, people, and places in its path. It is a perfect example of how the moon has been a source of reflection and inspiration across time. And now it is time to sing again. It's hymn 87 from the Purple Book. The words, of course, will appear on the screen, and is entitled "Leave Behind Your Bags and Luggage." So whatever it is that you do not want to carry with you, just leave it behind and let it be, and let it go wherever it likes. So we can obviously stand up in body or in spirit, or both, to sing 87, "Leave Behind Your Bags and Luggage." sung. You may be seated. And we move now to a prayer to the moon for the liberation of Cyprus on today's 51st anniversary of its invasion and subsequent occupation by Turkey, as we said. That was on the 20th of July, 1974. And since nobody else listens, maybe the moon can listen. So, O radiant moon, shining above the hills and seas of Cyprus, your light whispers of hope in the darkest of nights, a silver beacon in the sky, forever pure. We call upon your gentle rays to illuminate the hearts of those who seek peace, to guide the souls who long for unity, and to bring the winds of freedom to the islands. Moon of the East, moon of the West, may your reflection upon the Mediterranean waters wash away the wounds of division and sow seeds of harmony where they have long been absent. Under your watchful gaze, may the people of Cyprus rise together, bound not by walls and barbed wires of conflict, but by the strength of their shared dreams. You have witnessed centuries of change, cycles of pain, of hope, and of rebirth. May your faces mirror the cycle of peace from the darkened past to the fullness of tomorrow. Grant courage to the leaders who seek justice and wisdom to the hearts that desire reconciliation. May the voices of the silenced be heard, and the cries for freedom rise like your silver glow. Moon of the earth, the sky, the sea, guide Cyprus to a dawn of freedom where all people may live in dignity and peace, and your light shines upon a truly united island. Amen. And now we come to closing words, and this time I will remember to extinguish the chalice. We extinguish the chalice here that it might glow gently in our hearts. May it light our path as we leave this place. May it guide our way until we gather again.